This is the Jim Nog Pod with your host, Jim Noguera. On today's show, episode 15, graphic artist, Seiko 1844, and musical guest, Czar of the Moon. Let's start the show.
This is the Jim Nog Pod with Jim Noguera. It is the Jim Nog Pod with Jim Noguera.
Most interested man
It is the Jim Nog Pod with Jim Noguera.
The most interested man
Jim
in the
Nog
world. Interested,
It is the Jim
interested.
in the world.
Welcome to the pod. So I have two guests for this special episode. Seiko 1844, as he will be referred to on this podcast, is a friend and co-worker at the Writing Center at Bronx CC. He is a graphic designer. He also helped me out with creating the logo for the podcast. Czar of the Moon is Seiko's friend. He wears a mask. He raps or rapped. His music, I'm told, has changed and is more melodic. We've been trying to set up this podcast for a while and finally got to do it. We talked about many things, such as graphic design, music, video games, flat earth, which was unexpected. I would also like to mention the fact that the podcast is a one-man production. Yours truly is in charge of everything to do with the podcast, the marketing, video editing of the audio, and everything else related to the podcast. So I do my best with all of that. I can't always be as consistent as I would like to be. I have a limited budget and limited time. I look forward to expanding the podcast in the future and getting some additional help with the podcast to produce more of them. I really do enjoy doing podcasts, and I definitely have many more guests planned for the future. And now, Seiko 1844 and Czar of the Moon. Welcome to the podcast, Seiko 1844 and Czar of the Moon.
Thank you.
So, Czar, you wanted to know about the podcast, right?
Yeah.
Like what my podcast is about and all that kind of stuff. So, generally, I like to have conversations with people. So, I want to talk to them. I want to find out what they're all about and hopefully learn something from talking to them. I like interviewing, or I shouldn't say interviewing. I like to talk to interesting people. And for people watching, there's, I think, one guy who looks much more interesting than both of us, and that's your friend Czar, because he wears a mask. And I want to ask about that for sure. But I don't know, is that a good answer? I like talking to interesting people. I like to talk.
It's kind of weird because it's something that everybody has to ask about, the mask, and it's my.
Oh, it's kind of.
It's this thing
your
that
face?
I don't like. Yeah, it's my face.
It's like
Yeah.
people, they walk up to you and they're like, "Why are you wearing a mask?"
Not even what's your name? How
Yeah.
are you? No, your mask.
I don't want to say I'm a superhero or any of that stuff, and it's not that deep. Okay, it's not about me what I'm doing, whether it be music, poetry, short stories, podcasts. It's about the message, and my message really is, I do everything. I focus all my energy onto the odd and the weird, as far as people. Yeah. So if you're odd, strange, a little awkward, there's a place for you.
And most of the time,
Yeah.
they're not gonna know they like that. The people around them will make some weird or just let it be known to that person that you're not the same as us.
Hmm.
Yeah, the way they act.
I have to the microphone. Yeah, it's in
We
front
have
of.
to set up the microphone so it's like in a way that everybody can be heard and heard well. We're using directional mics. It's a little bit of an awkward setup, but
That's fine.
it's working. It's working.
I work in a store that I'm not going to tell you the location to. And this guy just looks at me, sees my face, and he's like, "Listen, brother, I got some crazy information for you." And he starts to build this up, and I'm like, "Okay, here we go. I'm waiting for this information. I know that he's not going to buy, so he's automatically wasting my time."
Yeah.
So he goes, "And this has been talked about, has been in the Bible. It's wildly controversial. This, that, and the third. Are you ready?" And I'm like, I've been ready as soon as you stepped through the door. He said, "The world that you're on right now is flat."
Oh my God.
And I said, "Oh, you're one of those. You're one of those flat earthers." I have no problem with flat earthers. I actually like that they're going against the grain. It's a new way of thinking. They're
I
wrong.
don't think it's new.
They're wrong. I mean, it's like a throwback.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you see it before the round one, right?
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think people originally probably thought that it was flat because that's what it looks like.
That's what it looks like.
But I agree with you. Some of them are smart. They're inquisitive. They I think a lot of them suffer from just like they take something that's generally true. Like the government has been involved in conspiracies.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's true. And you can't generally trust the government to have your best interest, forefront, right? That's generally true. But then they don't know how to properly proportion that. So it's like, any theory where you have to exercise a little bit of trust into the government, it's like it just doesn't work for them. Any official story is like doesn't work for them.
Yeah, I think that's going too far when you just say there's too many everything videos, food, like.
Well,
Oh,
now
you're talking
their
about-
argument for that, and I'm sorry that I just like with the volume of my voice. You'll fix that.
Sound effects and everything.
Yeah.
This is good.
The way they approach that is that the information that you're getting is from the internet, and the internet is being controlled. The information that you receive is being controlled. What they put on TV, and I believe that.
Yeah, but I'm talking about experiments that you can do. Like if you go back to the first people who have, I don't remember their names, but was too many stuff about that.
Yeah.
But there are experiments that you can do with sticks and the shadow, the way and the horizon and stuff like that. That you can see that if you're going around something that is circular,
Yeah.
In ancient Greece, I really like this story because when I found out about it, like it kind of blows your mind. Thousands of years ago, an ancient Greek named Aristosthenes, using basically sticks, shadows, measurements, was able to tell not only that the Earth is round. I mean, that's sort of
It's curvy.
yeah. I mean, the ancients knew that. They knew by looking at the shadow of the Earth on the moon, for example. You can tell that the Earth is round because
That's genius.
the shadow is always round. So they knew the Earth was round. So it's not that he discovered the Earth is round. He, because that was generally known. He was able to measure the circumference of the Earth.
Oh, he was able to. He did something with the center of the Earth, right? And then one stick is here, the other one's here, and then.
Yeah, he was able to measure the angle of the shadow. So the stick sticks up, right, and it has a certain shadow. The shadow has a certain angle, and if you measure the angle at different locations on the Earth, if you know the distance, and you know the angle, and you know how different the two angles are, then you know. Then you can sort of do the math, and I don't know all the math, but you can sort of
but
figure out
you see,
how
like,
wide.
It was
the Earth is.
known. It might be new to us because the generations, the education have been telling us that it is not flat.
So they'll send you to this website that proves that the Earth is flat.
He sent
And-
you to a website?
Yeah, he sent me to this website. He gave me his phone number. He's a really nice man. You know, if it were different circumstances, he might have been my friend. But he interrupted my workday, and he took me for a sucker because my face is too kind. Hence the mask, I guess.
Wait, but that's really interesting psychologically. So you're saying it's like you're protecting yourself from other people, like you feel almost, I mean, like, pardon the pun, but you feel like unmasked without the mask. Like you feel, what's the word?
Like naked.
Naked, or yeah, vulnerable.
Yeah, definitely.
You do.
I'm crazy nervous, awkward around people.
Yeah.
I don't like to be in crowds. Hate it. I don't take the bus. And the train, you know, it's necessary. But I don't like it. And I don't have a car, so that sucks. So that's my current situation. Yeah. People make me nervous.
Hey man, there's a lot of reasons why people should make you nervous. I don't know why we started to talk about flat Earth. That was not
No, because
expected.
we were talking about nothing. So I just, hello, hi. And this is a conversation. And I don't know, like, the structure usually to your...
Free association. I just didn't anticipate it. That's all. Okay, cool. So, why don't you guys introduce yourselves a little bit? Say how you identify yourself. What do you primarily identify as, and what do you want people to know?
Okay, I'm gonna start. I'm Seco1844. You can find me on Instagram, Seco1844. SEKO1844. I do graphic design mostly. I do photo shoots. I do photo manipulations. I work with this guy on designs, on art in general. Yeah, and I love what I do. I know how to use Photoshop. I do my stuff, and that's all about me mostly. I work in the writing center at BCC. I do that too.
Which is where we are. But this is a really cool space, and the boss lets me use it, and I'm very thankful.
It's very chill. I like it.
Well, because the windows are open, so that's
The other chill.
yeah,
Okay.
cool. And what about you?
I'm not here to plug anything, really. My artistic name was Eli the Maverick. I'm actually streaming live on Eli the Maverick on Instagram. It will be Czar of the Moon. Don't ask me why I changed the name, but we do grow as artists. As far as what I do, I don't want to pinpoint. I write songs. I like to climb trees.
Huh.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like, I don't know if you've read or watched Game of Thrones, but
No,
you're like,
I've heard of it. I'm waiting for it to finish, and then I'll just watch it.
yeah, I don't think this is a spoiler. I'm just saying that Bran, one of the Stark children, likes to climb trees, so that's what that reminded me of.
That's it. You messed everything up.
Just that
So I'll continue then.
there's definitely a spoiler with Bran, but I'm not going to go there. Go ahead.
I used to be a rapper. Now I'm not a rapper. I don't put any songs out anymore. There's no audio interpretation of what I do or existence that I even do music. But I do music. You should just trust in it. And there are a series of short stories that are about to come out with illustrations done by Seco 1844. And you should stay tuned for that. Speaking of Seco 1844, this man means a lot to me without it getting into the pool of homosexuality.
Yeah, you guys are not a couple, but
No.
but you're close.
Very
I
close.
Imagine.
So I was singing in the Bronx, or performing in the Bronx. Okay, yeah, that's better. And he's actually a cousin of a friend of mine, who so happens to be a photographer, and he showed up that night to take photos. He was just naturally inclined to me, and we exchanged numbers. And I found it strange that he kept calling back, and I'm like, this is weird because I don't have friends like that. Nobody calls me. Nobody. Yeah. So he just, I don't want to say forced himself into my life, but he wanted generally to be my friend, and
I remember I told him, yo, I want to be your friend.
I found it so weird. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, nobody does that.
Nobody really does that. And then got to know him. He's very strange, likes different things, and our relationship's been solid, super solid from there. He's my exclusive photographer. Images, everything. That's this guy.
I've seen some of the pictures that he has of you, and hopefully we can link to that. Actually, a lot of it is on your Instagram, right, Siko?
Yes.
I've seen it. It looks super cool. Yeah, I mean, when I first saw the mask, I mean, I wasn't sure what to think. Like, I thought about Slipknot, and I thought about, is this guy some sort of like musician? He told me that. I mean, when he first told me about you, he said that you were like a rapper or like a musician.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, do you feel like the mask has, artistically, do you think it's necessary for your art, or I guess what does it mean to you as an
Absolutely.
artist?
And we'll get into the race thing, because the music that I like and that will be out soon, my people don't really listen to it. So I'm Dominican. I was born here. I'm
Here,
proud.
Here where?
On the second floor. Manhattan. So, it's very bachata, salsa.
That's funny. Really funny.
This is a funny dude. Has nothing to do with the way that you're wearing a mask right now. So go ahead.
So, my people generally don't listen to the type of music that I'm into. So, in order for me to get into what I do, I feel that I not negate my culture by putting the mask on, but, don't focus on who I am or where I came from. Just listen. Just give it a shot. Just listen. And it's bad, but it's true. a lot of people judge right away from the appearance.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you say that because I believe Slipknot says the same thing. Like they say that the mask originally were an idea that, okay, instead of focusing on appearance, like all the boy bands, like look at how cute we are and look at how we gyrate our hips, it was more about like focusing on the music. But the thing is, but Slipknot is sort of known for their appearance, so it's like it's a little bit of a paradox, right?
Yeah, and what comes with the mask is automatically comparing me to Slipknot, for example, or Mad Villain, other artists that wear masks. What is Daft Punk? So I'm in there with them automatically just for the mask. And you know what? It's not such a bad thing. I don't mind being mentioned and being compared because they're always going to compare you.
No matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what people do for sure.
And another reason why the mask came to be, I filmed a video. It's on YouTube. I suggest that you don't look for it. And it's my first rap video, and it shows my face, and I look like a bachatero for real. Like I really do, and I don't know. I'm not feeling that image for the music that I'm writing. You understand? Yeah.
I want to say something about.
In no way do I negate my culture. I'm a proud Dominican. I eat mango, bro. All right. Go ahead.
Something that I want to say about doing graphic design for him. Now we're talking about the mask. It's like you got the freedom as a graphic designer to do what you're feeling when at the moment with him. Like we can do a photo shoot, but then we do whatever we plan for the photo shoot, how it's supposed to look, but then I can just cut out the image of him and just express something different that wasn't thought about on the shoot. So I got that feeling with him that is you don't find that with everybody that you're working with.
I get that sense too. He's very spontaneous.
Yeah.
There's some people who are just listening and don't maybe they can't see the mask. So it sort of looks owl-esque. I don't know what the Latin word for owl is. I don't know how to say owl-esque in a Latinized way. But is there was that your inspiration? Do you have like a spirit animal or something
I
like
love
that?
the spirit animal question. Yeah, I identify myself with the owl. There's a lot of owls are not that smart, but they are associated with wisdom. I find that to be dope. They're associated with wisdom, and in some cultures to be bad luck.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so there's like a 50-50 that the person is going to like it or not, and that's how usually the reactions that I get when I arrive at a place with the whole Czar of the Moon or Eli the Maverick, that's what I'm expecting. Like, half of you are going to like me, half of you are not. The half that do, you're welcome. And then I have to like draw out the little weirdness in you, and you're just going to stick. That's how it is.
I do get the sense that like some like ancient, wise, either mythical being or someone from a long time ago is talking to me. That's pretty cool. Cool. So, what do you do, Miguel? Tell me about like your process. You do graphic design, and you did the logo for my podcast.
Oh yeah.
Which is
him?
really cool.
Oh, came out pretty good.
And what was that process like making the logo? I know there was a lot of, a lot of ideas, a lot of back and forth, trading ideas. What was that like, and what's your graphic design work like?
Well, in this logo particularly, it was different because you had an idea about the moon, and now we have the moon guy.
Hey.
But you wanted something real. Part of it, part of the you want the real moon. So that's something different from one of the clients that I have had. Because normally logos are vector images, like done in Illustrator. So this one it was real, the real moon there. So I had to mix the microphones that I cartoonish with the real moon on the yeah, it was kind of interesting, but I never tried.
I have a question. How many logos did you show him? Or was it like the last one that you worked on? That was
No,
it?
we saw a couple of. I don't remember
So-
the exact number, but it was like
There was a few. Like your original one was really cool, and it was like metallic, and I really liked it. But it looked like a big like coin, you know. Very cool stuff. And then your other one was very different. It was interesting. Like you had, I forget exactly. Like you had like a microphone and then a planet, but they were part of the words. And then I'm kind of artistic myself, so I kind of had some ideas and showed it to you. And then it was kind of a collaboration.
yeah. And normally it's supposed to be like that in logos, because logos are they can most of the time they're gonna be there for a long time. So you do need to brainstorm on what you're doing with the impression, because it's gonna be your work out there, and then that's gonna be representing something. So yeah.
Yeah.
I find that to be so much pressure. Like I write a song and that's mine. I'm not writing it for another artist or for somebody that needs something, but you have to cater to somebody else while putting your own creativity, your own mark.
Yeah, I
That's-
look at my hair.
Yeah, I can see that.
noticed I got less hair on
It's
top
so much
now.
pressure. I can't imagine doing something like that.
I can feel it. Yeah.
But how do you decide? I mean, most of the work that you do is with clients, right? Or is it like 50-50? You're creating stuff,
Lately it's more plans.
more clients, which is good. I'm glad that you're making money and all that. How do you decide like what to draw, or where do these ideas come from?
I don't know, I just think about them. And I do a list of all the ideas that I'm having.
So you brainstorm different
Yes.
ideas, and then yeah.
I do brainstorm a lot. I do different ways of the same thing. Like if it is letters, I do different kinds of them. I show it to the client, then we just narrow it down to the one that looks better. Yeah, normally I do 2 pages of just designs, different sketches. Yeah, so normally it's 2 pages of sketches. Then we choose 1 or 3 that I'm gonna work on, and then we decide the one.
And when you draw, like for yourself or your, I guess, I don't know, like practicing what you want to draw, what kind of things do you create? Like,
That's interesting because I have a hard time putting color into stuff. Oh my god. It's like everything that I do comes out dark. It's like if you go to my Instagram, it's like you're shutting down the light. Because most of the artworks, they're in some way into the darkness and just focus on this thing. You
Okay.
know? So when a client asks me to do something colorful, I end up making sure that the client is happy, but I don't try to do something for myself with it.
That's why I'm drawn to his work, because it's like, it sounds so emo, but darkness and sadness draws me in for real. I find a certain beauty in it. Yeah.
For example, when you talk about music, there's some notes that sounds like really rough, low, and sad. For me, it's sad. So for him, it's not sad, even though he understands the sadness, how I say that, or why I say that. But I got a way jump into sadness when I hear something so melody that just goes down. In some ways, the melodic pitch go automatically is low to sadness.
So you're saying that he isn't like you just see it differently than he does, right? That you can have some like really maybe for most people depressive, I guess, music or sad music, and you can differ on like how it impacts both of you.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you an example. This is how we sound, but this is how it happens with sound. So one time we were doing a gameplay commentary. We were talking about a moment that I was here in this place, and I was thinking about that moment and how it's not gonna come back, and that was sad for me, because I would never be in the same place, we never be the same age, never this person will be doing the same thing on my side, so I was kind of sad about it. So I was talking to him about that, and he said, you should not be sad about it, because you're gonna lose the next moment, thinking about the one that just passed.
Very true.
But I was still sad, but it's just an example how different we see things sometimes.
Like death, death is something like super depressing, and I mean, some people just can't stop thinking about it. But
It's necessary. Sorry.
and then we can talk about like how necessary it is, and there's so many philosophies about death, but that's sort of the point. The point is like people just view it differently, and I think music is like that. And art is like that. So I want to segue to talking to Czar. How do you decide what kind of music to make, and how would you describe your music?
The goal is to help other people get through their depression. And the only way that I find that you can do that is making something even more depressing. So I had a song before I pulled it called 7 Days, and it was basically how I felt of each day of the week, and we relive it.
Wait, that's funny, because if they listen to something more depressing than what they're facing right now, they're gonna go, poor God.
Yeah, they know that their life doesn't suck as bad as mine did at that mindset. You understand?
That's a psychological phenomenon. It's called relative deprivation. So basically the way that you feel is based on your comparison to other people. So you could be filthy rich, but if your neighbors are much richer than you are, it could lead you to feel depressed, even if you're like in the top 0.01 percentile. So yeah, there's definitely something to that, oddly enough.
So as far as the process goes, it's random. So I write maybe 2 lines of one song and I leave it for a month. And I'll write another song. Sometimes I have actually 3 songs during the course of 1 year that haven't been released. And it was just like maybe waiting 2 months for the next line. Just being inspired by the nothing.
Eli, can you Zar, can you say a few lines of some? I know it's not the kind of music that you're doing right now, or you're planning to do, but can you like say some lines of some music that you have done?
Yeah, let's hear something.
Funny thing about me is that I write these songs, but I forget them.
Like Planned Accident.
Planned Accident. Oh.
You remember that one, no?
Yeah, I remember that. I'm gonna curse. We've already cursed a couple of times, right?
We're good.
Yeah.
We're good on cursing. That's fine.
Okay. It might not be politically correct, and I'm sorry.
We don't care. Just do it.
True.
I'm awesome, like two possums fornicating on a dragon that isn't Asian. Light a match and leave the gas on. Can you explain to them how I'm a motherfucking hazard? I'm fucking dangerous. Never leave me with your children, cause all I feed is corruption, and every word I say is destruction. Everywhere I go, I'm a problem, and almost every place I'm unwanted. It's sad, yes, are you at all yet? Hold on, I'm hot. Open your motherfucking minds to me. A mastermind up to no good on a killing spree. Plotting mischief as a hobby effortlessly. I'm just a criminal mind developed during puberty. I'm here to stay, get used to me. I hope you're popping pills while you're listening. I hope I'm on your mind while you masturbate viciously. Jumping on your clitoris like it's a fucking trampoline. It's kind of mean. I mean, I only say what I fucking mean. Something along those lines.
I totally get it now. Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
That's I don't know what to say. That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's like I mean, so you said he doesn't do music like this anymore,
No.
right? So I would describe what he did as sort of like maybe theatrical rap or something like that. You know, it's like
I never
it's
thought
very
of it that way.
it's
Yeah, me either.
yeah, like it's theatrical. It's you're a character, and but it's clever. It's very clever, and it's rap as well.
I'm gonna be sending you the video that we did for that song. Yeah, we did a video, and it's so nice that you said that. Well, not nice. It's just interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Cause
We never
it's-
thought of it that way
when
at
we
all.
did it, cause on that video, I hope you can show it, but it's just you acting on the video.
Yeah.
You're doing some movement.
It's not lip syncing at all. It's just like it's the feeling of whatever I said.
Yeah.
And we did it. Where was it? In like parking lot somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so he's moving depending on what the feeling of the thing he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it is like that.
So it was you two in a parking lot, and he was wearing the mask. Like, I hope that wasn't at night because like
It was.
Okay, it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right.
Why?
I've scared a couple of people.
You probably scared some people. Is what I'm saying. Just, but it's all good.
It causes a lot of negative attention as well. I mean, we were trying to do a photo shoot in the middle of where was it? Grand Concourse, right? And all we got was honking, people cursing at me in a tunnel, and I'm like, nah, I'm not about that life. But then you go to Soho, and you'll see things even stranger than I am, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Over there, you know, it's like no one will even look at you.
Yeah.
It's like
Where is this guy? Seen him
another
already.
guy in the mask.
Mhm.
He's wearing a mask, obviously.
I mean, it's Soho, that's the thing, and yeah.
It's very cool. So, what direction has your art taken you now? Like, are you transitioning?
So
Into
that
something
was that was my first rap song that I've ever done, and from there it transitioned to something more depressing like 7 Days, and I'll quote a few lines. Another Sunday, a day to pray my days away. Living just ain't living when you're living life this way. Given, I am sorry for the life I lived, but what does ever being sorry give? You know, that's just Sunday, and then the rest of the days of the week. So people think about that stuff all the time, but they just don't express it. They just have to go to work, and they're like, oh. And then there's this obligation to go to church, and you go, and you're not even.
Oh my God, church.
Yeah, that's another thing that we're like. We'll get into that later, but this is just these things that you do that you're not about that, and you do it. So it went from that to the depressing, and now the music has more of a melodic flow. That's really my goal. I don't want to mention other bands, but I strive to be somewhat similar to what I grew up listening to.
Are you talking about like Dominican music?
No, I didn't grow up with that music.
Okay.
Yeah,
So what kind of music are you talking about?
well, 80s synth pop. It's my thing. I also like the Smiths. Probably don't know them. You don't.
I'm
It's
not.
alright. Don't pretend to, or don't.
Go ahead.
Yeah, which is. What are you, by the way?
What am I? I imagine.
You look white.
It's a lot of things.
You look white.
I imagine that's a cultural. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought you meant. No, I mean I'm Dominican Puerto Rican.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what did you listen to growing up?
Some of that, yeah, definitely. My mom used to take me to DR every summer, and I did listen to that. Just, I mean, that wasn't really a choice, right? I had to listen to that. Not that, I mean, it's not my thing, but some of
So
it.
I always had a problem with that. Right there, what you just said. I had to listen to it. Why did you have to listen to music that you can say that they're forcing it upon you? Yeah, it is your culture, but music is so beautiful, and there's different ways of interpreting it. You know, you should listen to Mozart. Listen to, I think this is how you pronounce his name, Weird Al Yankovic. You know, listen to everything, and then pick and choose what you like. It's
Agreed.
kind of like religion.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
It is,
definitely
yes.
like religion. You know, they tell you this is what you should believe, or else you're gonna go to a really, really bad place.
Oh my god, I don't want to get into that.
Get into it, brother. How?
Yeah, we can. I mean, now's the time to get into it. But I totally just agree with like what you're saying. I listen to whatever is good, whatever speaks to me. Generally, I don't even say that I don't like a genre,
Yeah.
except for pop. That's generally don't like pop music because
It's forced upon you.
it's corporate, like it's like a mass produced. It's not even. It hardly qualifies as music, right? It's just like this. It's like this corporate mass production of sound that is supposed to appeal to like your most like primitive emotions and instincts.
No. Let me tell you how I feel. I'm sorry to cut you off. About pop music. Pop music is, I don't like the way it sounds, but I do like the idea of it. Because without,
What's the idea?
the idea is that most people should like this type of music. And that's great because when something extraordinary comes out that you just so happen to find, not even according to these YouTube recommendations, you just like dive into YouTube, right? Get lost in that motherfucker, and you'll find some crazy gems. And those are the reason why they pop out so much, because this pop music exists that they put so much promotion onto, and you have to hear it in every car that blares across the street, you know, in every store, shopping. That's what you get. Yeah.
Something like that happened to me when I found jazz from the 30s.
Wow.
Oh my god.
What did you say? Jams?
Jazz.
Jazz.
Al Bowley, Leo Reisman, all those guys. Oh my god, I was so into that stuff. I'm still am, but not as I used to, because I was first. That was the first time I was into that. But that was crazy, because then I got so into that when I listened to bachata or merengue, it was weird.
Yeah.
Like, that's wrong, that's bad.
That doesn't sound
it does,
similar.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I believe you should have certain periods to listen to certain types of music. So get lost in jazz for like about 3 days, then do your bachata. Because there's nothing wrong with a little fucking Teodoro Reyes. You understand?
Right, yes.
Whatever you said. But I grew up listening to a lot of heavy metal. That was like my first thing that was
Without the
mine.
fire.
Without the what?
The fire.
The fire.
Well, that's so stereotypical.
I'm not sure which. I mean, it is stereotypical, but Rammstein does that. German band.
And Gwar. Did you listen to Gwar? Gwar?
I have heard some Gore. I'm not a huge fan of Gore.
When you say heavy metal, are you talking about like that glam? Or you're talking about
No, I'm talking about
Metallica?
yeah. Well, not even that far back. Like I probably started around maybe Korn.
Oh,
You know, Slipknot, Mudvayne, stuff like that. And I had that phase for a while. So like big part of the new metal scene, like they were calling it new metal because it was, I guess, new and different from like the stuff like
Tradition.
Metallica and Pantera and whatever. And then I've had different periods. A classical period where, like you said, everybody should listen to Mozart. I definitely agree with that. And I love Beethoven and other people, Chopin and others. But now I've gotten into more hip hop, which is nice because even though I would hear it a lot growing up in the Bronx, I was never into it because, again, it was like one of those things where I was forced to listen to. And that's another thing about pop, right? It's like it feels forced. So, so now I'm just getting more into hip hop, and it's not as bad as, when you're like a metalhead, it's like, okay, Mortal Enemy, I guess, would be hip hop, because I guess that would be the most opposite. But now it's good to just be like, I don't like that's silly to be like in one box.
No idea about that.
Oh man,
I'll put you on.
Yeah, give him some good stuff. Actually, some of the older Linkin Park stuff might be good because it's so general. Like the Linkin Park is like
it could have rap.
very accessible, and it has rap. Yeah, for sure. Wow, we're talking a lot about music.
So that's good, right?
Yeah. I don't know whether this is better or worse than the flat Earth stuff.
It's flat out music.
It's flat out music. That's the name of the podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Flat out music. Cool. So yeah, what do you guys want to talk about now?
Let's get
That's
into
the worst question to segue.
But since we had, it's 2 against 1, so if you want to talk about the religion part, we can talk about the religion part.
Yeah. Okay. So you have an interesting relationship to religion. I do too, by the way. Like.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you what I think, and then you can elaborate into that. Well, I believe that religion is a sickness that is affecting everybody, most of the people, and they should drink a lot of water and think about what they believe in, because according to what I have seen, and I know they can find this information with the Bible, and I don't read the Bible, but I listen a lot to stuff about the Bible. Now, because I'm against the book, it's just because I am against the book, but I'm not against books. It's just I don't like reading. But
You should so not tell that to me. I love reading.
Yeah, reading is dope.
it's alright. But the knowledge is what's important, right? It doesn't matter how you get it. Just get the knowledge.
People say that. Like I hear this. There's an argument now. People are making this argument now that you don't have to read. It's okay if you don't like reading. And it's like, I don't quite buy it. I think there's something intrinsically valuable about reading.
No, what I think is that you exercise in your brain when you're reading. It's not only getting information. So I think that you do exercise your brain more. It's maybe more active when you're reading than listening.
Yes, I think that's true.
Yeah, and I'm not about to argue that. I agree with you. I think it is more brainly consuming. Like,
I think you also
read than
retain more. Like I've done audiobooks, and it's really good. You can go back and re-listen to it, and it's definitely valuable. But I retain way more when I read
That's
the
right.
material, and I just think more about it, and it takes longer for sure. It takes way longer to read through something. But
And what do you do with the sleeping part?
the sleeping part,
Yeah. When I get past 3 pages, I'm sleeping.
I actually
That was a good joke, man.
yeah man. I read before I go to sleep. It's really good. Like an hour before I'm supposed to be like out, I'll read.
Is that you have to find the genre that you like. That's also like with music. Yeah, like if you like science
Oh, yeah, 'cause
fiction,
I read, you know what I read? I
What?
read Sleepy Hollow.
you liked it, right?
I love that.
You see? So you need to find more books like that, fantasy.
Yeah. And I was, you know what? Now I don't remember me reading the book. I just remember what I imagined reading the book.
Yeah, I don't know who said it, but the quote goes somewhere along the lines of, reading a book is like the food that you've eaten all your life. They make you who you are, but you just don't remember each meal.
No, I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's just
Who
me.
said that?
I don't know.
That was too much. Maybe next time. But let me
Yeah.
finish my thought
Go
about
ahead.
it.
So you hate religion. Go ahead.
Okay, so people should drink a lot of water and think about what is being said there, you know, because there's a lot of arguments out there saying that God do agree with the slavery, and a lot of religious people think that morality comes from religion and stuff like that, and
Yes,
that's
they
really,
do.
you know, that's really like, what are you reading, and how are you believing to these guys that it's okay with enslaving people and just killing the firstborn and letting everything happen like that?
And many other things.
Yeah,
There are
let's
tons
just-
of like killing. What is it? If this is in, let me see if I can remember the exact line. I was looking at it recently. I think Deuteronomy 22, 28, and 29. I think, where a woman who, if a man violates a virgin, basically rapes her. She's unmarried because she's a virgin. Then the punishment for the man is to pay the father a certain amount, a certain number of shekels, and then he has to marry the woman, and he can never divorce her. Like,
But then there are moments in the first 5 books in the Bible written by Moses that he was giving out divorce cards, I think they're called. It's not recommended to get divorced. It's actually prohibited, but then he found like a loophole where, okay, you know what? You guys can get divorced. So there's like a little...
contradiction there.
And it's
Full of
difficult.
contradiction.
The whole Bible has contradictions, and this is where I stand. Because we didn't really set up the subject to... The question was really supposed to be, do you believe in God or not? But I do agree with him on the religion part, because the religion aspect of all of this makes God look so terrible.
Yo, I get so mad when I see they trying to show God and stuff about the Bible and stuff to little kids that they don't even know where they're standing. Like, what's paying rent? They don't. Their mind is not really developed yet to I don't know.
to deal with some of the complex issues. Yeah, and some of the examples in the Bible of proper behavior isn't like the most ideal. So your position on religion, and I think we should acknowledge also that religion is a complicated thing because it's hard to categorize it because different people define it differently.
Yeah.
For some people, it's just being spiritual or believing in something. For others, it's being very dogmatic and just saying, look, what's in this book is true, and you can't convince me out of that.
That's it.
And it's infallible. And that's what I'm against. I'm against that. I'm against dogmatism. That's my view. I think, look, I have a complicated relationship with religion. I think that, there's some positivity that comes from religion because a lot of the people that I know that are religious are some of the nicest people that I know.
So you think that if they would not have the religion in their lives, they would be bad people?
Not necessarily.
Wait.
Oh, that's for him? Okay.
Okay, so I think that their religion is a huge part of who they are because they're very religious. And you're right, this might be a chicken and the egg thing. Like, is it the fact that their religion is making them super nice, or is it the fact that they're just like that makes them super religious?
Because I don't, in order for me to believe in God, I have to like appear over here and do something. But I know He's not gonna do that, so I'm not gonna believe. So I'm not gonna go and kill somebody because I don't agree with the Bible, none of it, and I don't believe in God like negative 2%. I don't believe that's a fact. So I'm not gonna go and kill people because of that. That has nothing to do with that.
I think, in their defense, because I want to be even-handed here, because we're talking about a lot of people. Like, most people around the world are religious. So I think they would say that most religious people are good people and don't want to kill people, right? But here's where I think religion is is an issue. It's when people do not think critically, and they believe that
critical thinking is very important.
and they believe that, well, their reasoning comes sort of backwards. So what is revealed in the Bible, they hold as true, and so they work backward from there. So whatever they receive, information, science, it has to be compatible with the Bible, and that's highly problematic, obviously, right? Evolution, the Big Bang, etc. So those are I can go on about religion, but in general, I think a lot of people it has helped some people, and it helps them when they're going through difficult times. And I don't think that therefore it's good or necessary, right?
Well, if you're going to a hard time, you have to man up.
Right.
Deal with it.
Sure, the argument against it would be, well, just because it's useful or it does some good in your life doesn't mean that it's true, right?
Yeah.
You can believe in things that aren't true that can be very valuable to you and can give you meaning.
Yeah, because you take it that way, which is nothing wrong. It just let me know that you're weak, and you cannot just defend. You need something else to help you.
Well,
Wait. Yeah. It seems like that.
there's good people in this world. There's bad people.
No,
There's
but I'm
strong,
saying
and then
that
there's weak.
I'm not saying they're bad because of that. It's just
Uh-huh.
a fact. You need to ask for help. Okay. I'm not saying they're bad.
But what are you saying? They're
Okay, but
weak
then you take your
because
child.
they're asking for help. Is that
No.
your
I
point?
mean, what I think he means is like using religion as a crutch.
Yeah.
You understand?
Okay, but
So, in order to get over certain difficulties in your life, people tend to go look for God
Yeah.
instead of, wait a minute, I'm in this situation because I didn't do certain
Let me
things
just
in
do
this life.
something
Yeah,
about
so
it.
let me just do something about it instead of just praying for it. That
But
I agree.
that wasn't my point. My point is, after you do that, then you go take your child and indoctrinate him to God. Oh, you need God. God is there. We need Him. So then you don't know, because everybody takes it differently. When this child grows up, grow up, then he can use it for another man. It's like, how people do stuff.
Because it's
back then.
easier, bro. It's easier to raise a child, and in no way that I'm condoning this. It's easier to raise him during, like, in that doctrine. Like, oh, okay, this is God. He's gonna watch you all the time, even when you sleep. You gotta do good, and if you do bad, you'll go to a bad place called hell. And this is how it goes because it's in the Bible. And you don't have to explain so much while you do that. Now, the more difficult task is to raise. Now, no, because we're in modern times. But back then, imagine raising a child in an atheist home. We're talking what? Give me a time period.
10,000
1800s.
years. Okay, I was going to say much older than that, 10,000 years ago. As we were starting to, during the agricultural revolution, that's when society started to change, right? We started to become more like modern people. So, look, man, I think the reason we have religion is because it works. It's an algorithm that has been tested through humans, and it. You might not like what I'm gonna say. Um, Groups with religion, prehistoric groups with religion, would have done generally better than prehistoric groups without religion, because it's just easier to control, to structure society in a way where everyone is investing in the same beliefs and has a structure that has a hierarchy based on common beliefs, than to have a group of people aligned haphazardly through location or whatever.
That's true. But also depends on the religion, and there's a lot of factors.
Sure.
Yeah.
In
For
total, me and Seko ruined about 2 parties just mentioning religion. Completely ruined. Everything was fine. We're all drinking, and then like religion just like sobers you the fuck up.
Yeah.
Cool. Let me hear like the best one,
That's what.
the best story.
No, he's gonna tell you the story.
Oh no, I won't tell. I don't
Why
want to.
not?
No, because it's basically where. No, it's not exciting. I mean, it's something that you have to live it.
Sitting and drinking, and then somebody pops up with, "Oh my God," and God is great, or something like that. So I step in and say, "No,
Like, no, he's not. No.
Have you read the Bible? What's great
How do you
about
know this? How do you know that? And when you start asking that, you know that.
the killing of the Canaanites?
Yes, and then, I have, some people have told me, sometimes they give me stuff on the street, and, God loves you, and stuff like that, and I said, no, it's okay, I don't believe. And they have told me that, why are you so bad in Spanish? Porque tú eres tan malo? Like, I'm a bad person just because I don't
Because
believe.
you don't believe. Yeah, that's a big one.
I don't, you don't even know me.
You know that what is it? There have been polls done that show that the least trusted people
Are atheists.
even more than any religion. Like as bad as like anti-Islamic sentiment is in this country, anti-Semitism, all of that, atheists are the least
Well, at
trusted.
least I know that I'm not gonna go running and blow somebody up.
We can't talk.
Well, it's
I'm not gonna do that. And
it's-
I don't believe in God.
it's not that atheists can't do things like that, right?
Yeah,
Um,
listen.
Look, I've had many of these types of conversations, and people will bring up communism and Stalin.
Yeah, I've
And
seen documentaries about that.
He loves that shit. He lives it.
really
Yeah, he does.
cool. So I mean, and he targeted the church. I think there were many motivations, like why he would target the church. I think they're competing for control of society, but you can, if you're going to put the Crusades on religion, I think there's a fair argument to make that you can put atheism or the crimes of communism on atheism too, if you want to. I think it's inherently more difficult to do because religion tells you to do something. It tells you, okay, this land in Israel is, the homeland, is the land of the chosen people, and so that motivated the Crusades, among other things. Whereas it's hard to put things onto atheism because atheism isn't a dogma. It's just an absence of dogma. It's not like we have a book that we follow or we have a doctrine that is ours.
The best way to put this is, what I think should be done. It's just for people to think by themselves. Don't just because the Bible says something, don't say it's true. And it should be this way. Just think for yourself and find the answer by yourself, and you don't need somebody else. Like you have your own brain, just think about it, and that's all.
Critical
when you're
thinking.
doing so, critical thinking. That's all I'm asking for, and I think that we as humans, we are able, we should be able, and to critical think stuff, use critical thinking, and just find out answers. And, yeah.
I'm for that.
That's that's why I'm against religion because it doesn't let you do that.
I do find that to be true. A lot of religious people can be very thoughtful and intelligent, but when it comes to certain things, it's like I'll ask one of my friends who's a Seventh Day Adventist and who's very bright, how old is the Earth? He's like, well, I don't know. Was it really made in like six? You really think the Earth was created in 6 literal days? It's like, well, I don't know.
That's the thing. I have an issue. It's like
Imagine.
you take these examples, like the Earth was created in 7 days, and you don't really,
I believe
you don't understand that it was like a metaphor, because later on in the Bible it says, more or less. I haven't read it in a while. You can't predict God's timing. It's different than ours. So a day in God's life is way different than our day. Our day is 24 hours. You understand?
But is that give you an idea how long is it?
You don't know what 7
So
days.
how-
You don't know what 7 days is for God,
So how-
according to the Bible.
Okay, so why are you saying it's longer? It can be shorter.
It can be shorter,
You see? So
Shit.
that's not really an answer, I think, right?
But the position of the guy.
but that still proves the point. You don't know how long it took for
Yeah,
all of
true.
that to
if you
get
want to,
created.
if you want to go metaphorically, but I mean, he was saying that the literal definition of day, in that instance, was a 24-hour cycle. Yeah, so I mean, there are people like that who take a very literal approach, and obviously they have, unsurprisingly, issues with homosexuality. They tend to have very traditional views about men and women. And then there are people who view things more metaphorically, which I think is more like beneficial. If you're going to,
I have a
you know.
suggestion for guys. Sorry to
Go
cut
ahead.
you off.
Go ahead.
If you're gonna write something for us human, can you at
You're
least
suggesting something to God?
Yeah.
Oh, that's dope. Let me hear it.
And this is exactly the issue with dealing with religion, right? It's, you can't, reforming it is like you're putting words into God's mouth, or you are trying to improve upon his infallibleness. And that's inherently very problematic. The thing
Yeah.
I like about science is it's humbling. It's like, we don't know.
Yeah.
We need to figure this out, and we could be completely wrong. And that's what I think the biggest thing that religion has an issue with is probably that.
Yeah. So I would recommend to him that if you're gonna write something for us to read, can at least be our timing, right? Because the Bible was for us, right, to follow. So at least put the 7 days that we know, not the one that he got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was 6 days, and on the 7th day he rested.
He rested, yeah.
I think. But all right, that was a really cool conversation about religion. Didn't expect that either.
Do you like video games?
Love video games.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. That was
You
it.
do Seiko, you do what are they called? I'm sorry. What are they called?
Commentary game, please.
Yeah, but they're called screencasts, or like
I don't know.
I'm
It
not
just
sure.
does it.
I stream sometimes.
You
I
stream?
live.
Yeah, live streamer.
Live stream. Yeah,
Yeah.
do that.
So yeah, I most of the nights, not all of them, but I do have my YouTube channel, is Seiko1844. What a surprise! Oh my God.
Okay, sorry.
Something so different. So yeah, we have a show there close to this, but way short, just 10 minutes. We talk and we
Does he wear the mask?
games.
No.
No, it's just audio.
This is audio.
That would be
What
something.
you're gonna be seeing is mostly me playing sometimes Call of Duty, but we got some other games.
And that was another alter ego. My other one was Sugar, no numbers. So the introduction would be like, jazz. Da-na-na-na. That's not really jazz, but and then I would come in. Yowza. Fuck, I fucked it up. Yowza. Sugar, no numbers. Seco 1844 here, and then we'll just start talking about the subject. Yeah.
You will say sequence for and then sugar, no numbers.
And then sugar, no numbers, and I'll say ladies and germs, and I'll just like we'll get into it and talk about the video games, or not even so much the video games, just like conversation, a dope conversation like this
Just
one.
like this one.
That's cool.
But that doesn't exist anymore. We might bring it back, maybe.
We did season 1 and like we started season 2, but we didn't finish it.
And so you play video games, have like free association conversations, like
Mhm.
just like this.
Yeah, no. Sometimes we do have a topic, but we don't talk about until we record. So we
Yeah.
have all the ideas are fresh.
That's true. That's really important.
So for example, in the morning I would talk to him and said, "Oh, let's tonight we're gonna meet up and we're gonna do the commentary. We're gonna talk about this." And we hang out. We don't talk at all.
Not it.
And then we meet at night and talk about that.
That's a good idea. Yeah. So you're gonna continue doing that?
Maybe.
Maybe, yeah. Who knows?
We have complete season 1 day already complete, so we might finish season 1.
And what's going on with you guys? Are you like monetized? Are you making?
I have done it before, long time before, because I'm not really that bad at playing Call of Duty.
Yeah, he's a fucking
But
monster.
I do.
Yeah, bro.
I try. But normally it's just a not regular gameplay. I die, but I most of the time kill a lot of players.
So you're good. That's what you're saying.
More or less. I try.
You
Well,
try.
that's
He's
what
being humble, right? This
No,
is
He
humble
is.
bragging.
No, that's relative.
Humble brag.
That's relative to
I'm
the other
shit.
players.
I'm not good. I mean, I win a lot, but I'm not good.
I don't win at all. But I don't.
How are you winning?
I don't know.
You hack me.
I-
Because you're mad if you're winning, like, there's something there.
I just meant like humble brag. Like
I understand.
you're trying not to show how good you
No,
are.
I'm really, like, I consider myself in the middle.
All right.
You can win against me, but you're not gonna be that easy.
Right.
Not because I play good, it's just I'm cautious. I'm not gonna just run into you. Are you silencer?
Always.
Always silencer, so you know when I'm not, even if I kill you on Call of Duty,
Yeah.
your friends, they're not gonna know.
Here's what I like about doing it, playing these multiplayer games like through like this sort of setup, like through the internet, right? It connects via internet. I'm sorry, I don't play these, but I'm aware of them, right? But back in the day, right, where you would play something like GoldenEye, right? GoldenEye,
Yeah.
64, played that till I couldn't anymore, right? The thing about that is you can see other people's screens, so I would totally use that
Cheat, yeah.
and just like know where people are. They don't know I'm looking at their screen. Sneak up behind them, kill them, and work that way. But
Now the thing about that is, as time progresses and technology advances, people are always gonna find a way to cheat. So they study the maps and they know the spawn spots.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like that now
Yeah, it is.
with the newer game.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're always gonna spawn.
So you're gonna,
some points that you
this
can
guy
score.
is gonna appear right there. I'm just gonna wait and kill him. That's it.
yeah,
So that's like,
do the spawn? Sorry to cut you off. Do the spawn spots like switch or like are there multiple?
they do,
ones?
because it wouldn't be fair if it's always in that corner. Yeah.
No, yeah. You don't choose on Call of Duty. That's mostly what I play. But you can, if they overrun your position, you're gonna spawn in the middle of the map, so they don't trap you.
True.
So that's a way to get out. But then everybody's like all over the place, so you don't have like a coordination where you. Yeah.
Cool. All right, so that's something that people can subscribe to. They can subscribe to your YouTube.
Oh, there was another thing why we stopped, because it was supposed to be Call of Duty and also Super Smash Brothers. Now that's
Yeah.
my area.
Yeah.
I used to play the shit out of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo, one time we were playing Smash Bros. I'm not really good at that.
Oh God!
I don't
Don't
know
mention.
about that. And one time we played, it's me and him and two other more. We just everybody hitting each other. And you see, this is the platform, right? Right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So it's two people here, two here. We're fighting, and he was out of the thing, and then he came up
From the
through the
floor.
thing
Okay, yeah.
and kicked me
Through the
out.
platform, yeah.
Just
I'm like,
yeah.
I told him, I said, I'm done. Like, how you did that? Like,
No, I thought he was gonna mention another. You know, I used to play that game religiously, especially Melee. If you got some Melee heads in the podcast, because that's the best game ever.
It is good. It is
Yeah, yeah, man.
So I used to use a certain character, and this guy just picked up Marth, and he beat the shit out of me. And
my
Marth-
shit is Pikachu, by the way.
Pikachu?
But yeah,
I
yeah.
love Pikachu. I used to love Pikachu.
so I
But then
switched.
I got me so bad that I got need to pick somebody else.
Yeah, I made him switch his Marth because I studied the fuck out of Marth. I used Peach, and
Peach. Okay.
I just fucked the
I've
shit
never
up.
seen anybody use Peach, but okay.
Yeah, well, when I used to
Just
follow
like
it,
girls.
Armada, he's like world class. He
Oh,
was
yeah,
number
yeah.
one. Like
You showed me
the tournament, yeah. I showed you G4.
Well,
Yeah.
she can switch to somebody else, right?
No, that's Sheik.
Oh, okay.
Sheik and Zelda.
I
can
should
switch.
hook you up with my cousin, who does he does like tournaments and commentary. Just remind me. Luckily we work in the same place, Seco. So yeah, I've been wanting to have him on too, but he does some streaming, and he does like actual tournaments and
For Smash?
for Smash Brothers and other things. I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah, well, this is
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Cool. Wow, this is like a nerd fest.
Yeah, it is.
Video games, and we're bashing on religion a little bit.
That's
we
what
talk
we're
about
about,
music.
really.
Yeah. Okay. So where do you want to take? What's your like? Where do you want to take your music? What's your vision of where this goes?
I'm just doing it creatively. I already have the job that provides for my family. So I just want to be able to do it and still like it. You know, the thing I have an issue with those type of questions is that it ultimately goes to, what's your goal in life? And you know, and the problem is that once you complete your goal, what's
you're
next? You know,
goalless?
so I'm goalless, but with a lot of goals in mind. You understand? Because once I finish one, I want to do the next. So I don't have
Maybe it's very described as you don't have a final goal.
a final goal. Yeah.
You don't have an end point.
Because it's so sad.
That's a
Once
good
you
way to
reach the end of a video game that you like so much, and you're like,
Then you go to multiplayer.
no, we're talking the 90s, bro. 90s. So, or even early 2000s. You finished it, and there's no online play, and then all your friends moved on to the next game, but you're like, yo, bro, you just gonna not play this game? You're not gonna play Mario Kart Double Dash? There's no online for that.
I understand that.
Or like when you, what's worse is like a game, like you finish a game like what is it, Mega Man 64 or Resident Evil 4. I know these are old games, but that's what I don't have any of the new stuff. Zelda, like once
Oh,
you
yeah,
finish it, Zelda's more like you can, like
There's a lot to
Zelda
unlock,
Ocarina of Time. I played that a little bit after I beat it, but certain games like that, you know, Resident Evil 4, which was one of my favorite games for GameCube, and like once you beat it, it's like damn, it's over. You know? It's like a really good movie. It's just
Now I gotta pay attention in school.
yeah. Cool. And then what about you, Seco 1844? What's your trajectory?
I haven't really think about it that much, but let me think about it right now.
Yeah, you're gonna think about it. Yeah.
You see, it's a weird question. Where do
Yeah.
you? All right, let's ask you, Mr. Man. Where do you feel? What's your direction in this podcast ultimately? What do you want to do?
Yeah, that's it. look, man. I agree.
I know
It's
this
like
is the future, like for real. I watch the Joe Rogan Experience. I love
great
that.
podcast. Great podcast.
Love that. The fighter and the kid. I'm into UFC, so
Me too.
I watch those type of podcasts, and this is actually refreshing. Not that I'm like, oh my god, I'm picturing Joe Rogan across the. No, this is like my own experience, but I'm curious to know what do you feel about it.
I do want to expand the podcast.
Mhm.
I want to expand the podcast. I want to talk to more people. I want to make it more regular. I want to hire a sound guy so I can like not have to wear the headphones and not have to like look at the time and how long we've been recording and adjust the sound while trying to keep a conversation. Um, yeah, so I want to expand it, but I don't want to move too quickly. I want to take my time because time is so precious. I don't have a lot of time to devote to this right now. And so, I mean, do I have a goal, a general goal? Yeah. I want to expand. I want to talk to more people. I want to hire some people to make this easier for me. And I want to make this a part of my life because I feel like I'm going to do podcasts pretty much forever because I like doing them, Right now it hasn't been financially supportive. I haven't made any money off of the podcast so far. It's actually costing me money, to host the podcast, the equipment, etc.
All starts
Yeah, that's how it is.
True. True. So there's that, and I'm also a writer. Like that's my passion. I want to write books, and I want to publish. Do I wish that I never had to work again and I could just write? Yeah. My ultimate goal would be to be a full-time writer, but that's probably not going to happen. It's rare. Those J.K. Rowlings or whatever, Stephen King or whomever. It's a rare thing. So, yeah, if I can write and I can do podcasts. Right now, teaching is, I guess, paying the bills. Teaching and tutoring is like paying the bills. Then I'd be happy if I could just do more podcasts, more writing, and less of the sort of official stuff. I'd be happy.
I think we should all three move towards that direction without the end point that you. So let's try to the art thing that we do. Let's try to make it the main thing. But also we should remember always that what we do enjoy it.
Enjoy what you do.
That's the most important thing. That we should enjoy it.
Yeah. It reminds me of and we should probably end in the next few minutes. But if you guys want to talk more about different things, we can.
It's fine. We can do part 2.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, I'd love to have you guys back. Really interesting. And it's funny, you were talking about the fighter and the kid. This guy reminds me of the fighter,
Brendan Schaub, yeah.
Yeah, because you're a big dude, and you have facial hair.
So that's it.
So that's pretty much Brendan. No.
And now he's gonna show his face.
No.
Maybe not. What the hell was I gonna say? I don't remember.
Are we ending? No?
Yeah, we're gonna end. Yes, exactly. So tell the people where they can reach you online and anything else you want to say.
Straightforward. Instagram is Seco1844. YouTube Seco1844. And yeah, so you can see some artwork. You can interact with me. Yeah, whatever. I'm open.
Okay, thanks.
Don't interact with me. Don't send me messages.
Leave Czar of the Moon alone.
Yeah. Right now it's Eli. Oh, don't fall. Right now it's Eli the Maverick all together. At whatever. It will be Czar of the Moon. And yeah. So we're finished. I would love
Pretty
to
much.
be back. This is
I would love to have you back.
refreshing.
The moon is an interesting metaphor, is it
Before
not?
you go, you have to put that back.
He totally just broke the binder clip thing.
I didn't break it. Like, I took it apart.
Now you got 3 points, babe. Why are you doing it?
It comes together.
Oh, okay, cool.
I need
Cool.
that.
I thought he broke it.
Yeah.
The moon is such a great metaphor, right? Because it's like the mistress of the earth. It's like it always watches the earth, and so
You know, the sun is a star, and people wish upon motherfucking stars, and they forget that the sun is a star. Bitches.
So you should be doing it with the sun, right?
Yeah. I like the moon. The moon is tattooed on my body somewhere.
that that as well as your face is a mystery. And I think we'll end at that.
Yeah.
Peace out.
Next time on the Jim Nog Pod, I have several guests in mind, and there will certainly be more 3-person podcasts, including myself. There are just many more interesting people that I want you to meet, and thank you for being a part of this journey. Creating podcasts has been a nerve-wracking experience. It has not been easy. I'm still learning to relax, breathe, and enjoy the process. Music for Jim Nog Pod by Marco Sanlaguagua. MarcoSanlaguagua.com. Guagua is spelled Guagua. Art by Seco1844 at Seco1844 on Instagram. Seco is SEKO. My website, which contains news and updates, bios, social media links, contact info, a bibliography, a blog, and a podcast page, is jamesnoguera.com. Noguera is Noguera. Please show your support by subscribing and interacting with the pod on iTunes or whatever your favorite podcatcher happens to be, and on YouTube. You can donate on patreon.com/Jimnog or directly via paypal.me/Jimnog. And thank you for your interest.